Professor Ajantha Dharmasiri, who is the Director and Chairman of the Board of Management of Postgraduate Institute of Management, University of Sri Jayawardhanapura. He is also an adjunct professor at Price College of Business of the University of Oklahoma in USA. Professor Dharmasiri is a past president of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management and was a vice president of the Asia Pacific Federation of Human Resource Management. He is also the editor of the pioneering Sri Lankan Journal of Management. Professor Dharmasiri is a conference speaker, corporate trainer, strategy consultant, author, and an academic. He has a rare combination of being a chartered HR professional, chartered electrical engineer, and a chartered fellow member of the Management Institute, UK. He is also a Commonwealth AMDISA doctoral fellow, Fulbright postdoctoral fellow, and a Commonwealth postdoctoral fellow. He carries 3 decades of private and public sector experience, including at Unilever and Nestle, with consultancy engagements in Asia, Africa, and in the Middle East.
Professor Ajantha, can I invite you to share your thoughts, please?
Thank you, Shamali. In fact, I enjoyed listening to Mahendra and Chanti. And I can see Archana still must be, had to get up early. So I met you physically in Chicago 4 years ago, and it's nice to connect with you virtually today, Archana. So thank you, CA, for inviting me and in talking about abnormal. I like that theme. And last time when I was connected 4 years ago, I said chartered accountants will be endangered species. And I thought they would not invite me again, but despite that, they invited me. And I think based on what Archana mentioned, I picked up 3 key points. First one, she mentioned, in fact, I have my highest regard to Infosys, created by Narayan Murthy. And he said, everyone who works at Infosys is an Infosian, the identity of Infosys. And she said, we are not a technology company full of people. We are people company full of technology. So I like it. The most precious, rare resource in an organization is people. It's people that drive business. Without people, there's no point having financial, physical information and any other resources. So, Archana, I like the way you position it, the people-centric organization. Second point is that the 3 C's, collaborate, connect, and care. So I really like the caring approach. I was part of the annual report evaluation committee in the past in CA, and they chased me off because I'm a non-executive independent director. They took a decision that no directors should get involved in evaluating reports. So there, in fact, I see this hacked statement in CEO's message, people are my most valuable asset. Ironically, they are more treated like liabilities than assets. So this is the fundamental paradox that we all have to live through. So taking the cue from Archana in talking more about care, I think this is the new dimension coming out in that abnormal era or the new normal era or living with a planetary pandemic. The caring leadership is coming out, not just caring for money, caring for people. And not just looking at profitability, but as you said, looking at the planet and the people as well. The triple bottom line is coming in a big way. So I had been telling this, the uncertainty that we are facing and the day by day, the continuity in combating COVID-19. And we look at the volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguity around us. It has come to our doorstep. And if one of the people in this audience is found positive, all of us have to go on self-quarantine for 2 weeks. So that is the risk that we are all taking in fact, removing the face masks. So we are living in a VUCA 1.0 world, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And I would say the leadership response for that should be VUCA 2.0, vision, understanding, confidence, and agility. And that is where the chartered accountants can come to the forefront. And I know they have to be leaders and they have to think and act like leaders. So the VUCA 1.0 should be successfully tackled with VUCA 2.0. So the fundamental question I would raise with the audience, are we having the right vision in moving beyond COVID-19, treating it as an opportunity, not just as a danger, like the Wei Ji story in Chinese language, the way they write the word crisis. Wei-Ji, two characters. One represents danger, the other one represents opportunity. For me, COVID-19 brings plenty of opportunities. Are we really having that visionary approach towards that? And having the right understanding. How to understand the day-by-day changing pandemic and then having the right confidence. I would say the starting point of leadership is having the right confidence. And then with the required competence. And of course, the agility, the dynamic, enthusiastic way of doing things. And Archana, I must confess that some of the things that you mentioned about highly technology-driven workplace might be little challenging to a typical Sri Lankan workplace. With a manufacturing base, as Mahendra said, some of the things have to be appropriately adapted. And of course, Chandi represents more technology-driven workplace. And then Shamali, she had her own challenges with Minuangoda cluster. So we all have the challenging situations. And I would say, as leaders, what we need to have is triple H approach. Leaders have to be holistic. They need to have the big picture. And sorry to say, you can't just be number crunchers. So chartered accountants should go beyond being accountants realm, and they need to look at the broad picture, which involves people, processes, and planet as well. So holistic approach, first H. And for that to happen, they need to be humble. I think COVID is an invitation to release ego and to embrace eco. The problem is we are very egocentric. And our cubicle is not enough to occupy our ego. It's so big. So we need to bust our egos and to be eco-friendly, eco-conscious, and look at the fellow human beings. So that humbleness should be there with leaders in combating COVID-19. And the third one is humane. As Archana very correctly mentioned, the humane approach, humane results, humane way of performing to achieve results together. So I think this is the resilience we need as a nation. And we need to have that resilience to have revival of our economy. And chartered accountants can play a key role with other professionals. And then together, we need to revitalize the economy with having the right mindset, having the right skill set, and of course, having the right tool set. So I think future is bright, and we need to create that future together. And Archana, your last message, this is the era of humanity, era of human beings coming into the scene. It's an era of engaging for excellence. And we need to have one more thing, Archana. In fact, I wish if you had included that, apart from social, digital, economic, and emotional dimension, the spiritual dimension. I prefer the value-based approach. So values are essentially what we are believing in and what we would like to see in the world. Sad to say, we see erosion of values for the benefit of monetary value. I went to an organization and asked from the CEO, tell me your core values. CEO looked puzzled and asked from others, core values. Core values. I hope that will not happen to CORE. Core values should be put into practice and producing value by practicing values. I think that could be a good Sri Lankan way of looking at how we become ethical, how we become effective, and in turn, how we become excellent. I hope I have done justice for 10 minutes.
Thank you, Professor Ajantha. Moving to Professor Ajantha, now Archana spoke of the hybrid work model. Do you think that is the future for Sri Lanka? And
You mean hybrid work model?
Work model, and also if that is to be the future, then do we have the infrastructure, the skills to sustain that kind of model? What is your thought, Professor?
Well, there are pluses and minuses, there are prospects and pitfalls, both. Sometimes it has become a necessity. For example, PIM being the premier MBA provider, we conduct all lectures through Zoom. We don't have a choice. But if we have a choice, we might go on a different mode. So it's sometimes the necessity kind of propels us to do certain things. So I think this hybrid model can be made workable, in my view, in terms of appropriately adjusting it to the requirement. I think we need to look at the nature of the industry, nature of the organization, what type of work the employees perform. Can it be done from home, or do they have to necessarily come to work? Like a manufacturing entity, they have to, whereas a service center, they don't have to, and so on. And so you need to have, for me, it's like a checklist. You need to look at the requirements. And also, to my biggest surprise, some of the MBA students, I call them my learning partners, they complain that working from home is more tedious, more fatigue and more stressful. Sometimes going to work. Because I see the fundamental issue based on the Sri Lankan mindset, Shamili. Because I believe we need to have, as human beings, switch on times and switch off times. We can't be switching on 24 hours, 7 days for work. That is inhuman. You need to have your switch off hours. But the problem is when you are given a smartphone, when you are connected, when you are online, if the company expects you to be alert and then to be vigilant and to reply to emails even during midnight, even during, say, when you are fast asleep, that is inhuman. So I would argue, again, based on my way of looking at getting the best out of time, we need to divide your times into 3 aspects. Say, focus time, free time, and flexi time. Focus time is you are really, really on it. You are really putting your full energy into it, and you are really doing some value-adding creative stuff. And then flexi time is you are okay to have a chat and you do some work, but free time is really free. You do anything other than your office work. You do things by forgetting the office. So you need to have that free time, that recharging time, the time that you are cut off, you are switched off. That is the time that you get re-energized to give your best some other time. So the problem with this working from home, sometimes we ignore, we underestimate, and we neglect this time component. We think every time everyone should be available, they should be responsive, they should be doing the work. No, that's a myth. So we need to have a structured approach. I like what Infosys has done. So like that we need to design at what particular points of time whether they need to be connected, and some point in time they can be offline but still they can do some work, and certain point of time they can be completely off. Sometimes the global multinationals, the tech giants, they follow the thing called follow the sun approach. Because when some people are awake, some people are asleep. So you have to look at the time zones. Otherwise you might disturb people who are in the middle of sleep where the others are in the middle of noon. So you need to balance those challenges. I think in Sri Lanka, I'm looking at it positively, Shamili. We can work around it. We can make it a viable, workable Sri Lankan model, not just a carbon copied from America or from UK. We need to have an authentic Sri Lankan model, and I think we can do that.
Okay. So what we need to do is have that boundary between work and non-work, even if you're working from home, so that you have time for yourself as well. Professor Ajantha, I think our time's almost up. One last question for you. I think with this remote working going ahead, I think a few months ago, Google had also made a statement saying that they can hire employees from anywhere because location is no longer a concern. And even Archana mentioned that people are moving to tier 2 cities because it's cheaper and people have that option of working from anywhere. Do you think that if Sri Lanka also adopts this, that people who are working, especially in remote areas, we will have more access to work? Because right now I think they need to come into cities like Colombo, Kandy to find jobs. But now will there be more opportunity for them to work from wherever they may be?
I think, Shamili, I have to be conscious about the time, and I think it's a good idea. So I think it's already happening. Some Sri Lankans, I know some accountants are working from Colombo, some African companies in Botswana and other companies. So it's already happening. So the physical location is no more an issue with the interconnected world, because we say we are living in a global world, global, local, connected. So in a global world, there are lots of possibilities, prospects, and performance taking place.
Thank you. I think that's all the time we have for the session.